Hi,
Hi, Aaron.
how you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you doing? Must be
I'm
really
good.
early in the morning for you.
It's not too bad. What time is it? It is 8:45, so that's all right. That's
Okay.
pretty civilized.
All right. I really enjoyed this movie. And at the time I was watching it, I didn't realize it was based on not just one book, but one of the series of books that you authored called The Bad Guys. Now, there are 14 books in that series. How were you approached to make an animated movie about it?
It's a reasonably complicated story. There will ultimately be 20 episodes of the book series. I've just finished. I think episode 16 is about to. Oh no, 15 has just been released. The books became popular almost immediately in the US school system in the book fairs. They just took off in 2015, I think it was, and accordingly, all the studios were interested, really. And I got approached, and I had a very, very surreal week at the end of 2016 where I went and met the heads of all the studios, and a couple were aggressively pursuing it, and but it was DreamWorks. I met them early in the week, and it went really well. We just clicked, and they invited me back later in the week, and I came back, and it just felt like their home. Really, it was a bit of a no-brainer. Ultimately, it was a very head-turning, head-spinning experience to go to all the studios, but DreamWorks and what it was that they just inherently got the tone of the books. They want, and they were determined to preserve that, to keep the comedic tone of the books alive, and that's what won me over.
Yeah, they did a really great job. Now, as executive producer, did you have any say into who was cast or what changes were made?
It's a conversation all the way through. So with each draft of the script, each cut of the movie, I would write notes, and we would have discussions, and then things would be incorporated, things would shift, things would change. In terms of casting, we all put together lists of our dream cast, but obviously DreamWorks have a pretty amazing casting department, so they don't need too much help. But we all threw in stuff that we thought, and it's funny though, all the cast lists largely aligned. And the one person actually, I had a number of names on each list, but the one character I only had one name on was Tarantula. I just had Aquafina, and I genuinely didn't know what I would do if she said no. So I was very, very, very pleased when she did, and she's amazing in the film. But no, it was the team at DreamWorks were enormously inclusive during the whole experience. I felt very involved all the way, which was wonderful.
And how has your life changed since the books were made into a movie?
Well, I don't know. I'm still in shock, really. The books have obviously had a very big life of their own, so I've been writing that way for the last few years. In terms of the movie, I had a wonderful experience going across to LA with my family for the opening and doing the media. And we've given the pandemic, we're very pleased with how the movie has been performing, and certainly how it's been received. So yeah, look, fingers crossed it keeps to build and grow. And it's among other things, it's the Bad Guys already has the Bad Guys books. I think we just passed 20 million copies, and just before the movie came out, and this is about to grow exponentially, I think, because of the connection now with the film. So that's very exciting too. It's going to bring a much bigger audience to what is already a pretty big audience, to the books, which is wonderful.
Now, you were a successful actor in Australia before quitting to, start writing and illustrating the books. How did you decide to make that change?
I was a terrible actor, a terrible actor. I worked, I got, I did it for about 10 years, but I'm a dreadful actor. And I think, so it wasn't a difficult transition at all. I needed to find a new job quickly. And look, it's one of those things. I made the choice to, because I love movies. That's where it all came from. I've obsessed with them since I was a kid. And then as a teenager, I just picked the wrong side of the camera. Really, I thought I want to try that, and I did it for a long time, and it never suited me. I never felt comfortable. And then when I started creating stories, I went, oh, duh, this is what I should have been doing, and once that transition happened, it's been, I've been an infinitely happier person.
Do you have children of your own? And did this come about from telling them stories or anything like that?
I do. I have two boys. They're 15. Sorry, no, they're 14 and 16 now. But this was written very directly for my youngest when he was 6. He'd been not enjoying reading, and in fact had been bringing home books from school that he found so boring they would make him cry.
Are cats your favorite kind of animal?
They are. I think. Well, they're my favorite domestic animal. At least I actually love sharks. Sharks, I'm fascinated by, but they're a little difficult to have at home.
Yeah. And so you wrote a shark into the story too.
I did. I did. It's funny. The sharks have been in my psyche. I think since I was very, very young. I recall vividly being a 4-year-old, being led out of a cinema foyer with my eyes closed, absolutely terrified because the poster for Jaws 2 was on display, and it left a lifelong imprint in me.
But your shark isn't scary.
No, no, he's not. Well, he can turn it on if he needs to, but he doesn't need to.
I like when he's dressed in the lipstick and the dress. It was hilarious that he
Oh yeah, yeah,
revealed it.
that's a very good moment. I love that. I've always loved that with Shark, and it's in the books as well. Is that has enormous confidence as a master of disguise, and it's purely his confidence that gets him through because the disguises themselves are ridiculous.
Do you base any of the personalities of your characters on people, like real people or real animals?
I guess I do. That's always a mashup. I think of in some ways they're some of the characters are me. You know, like I've often thought of Wolf and Snake actually as two halves of the sort of optimistic and the pessimistic side of anybody, I guess. But because I write it, it's me. Like one is enormous, has an enormous belief that things can be, you know, better, and then the other side is like, oh, can they? I don't know if they can. And it's the fight between those two things. So I think that's Wolf and Snake. But yeah, they come from everywhere. I kind of just keep my little antenna up as much as I can to pick up on, you know, people around me, things I hear, things I see. It's the joy of being a writer is that.
I heard that another one of your books, Thelma the Unicorn, is being made into a movie or has already been made into a movie. What can you tell me about that?
It is already deeply into production at Netflix. I think end of 2023. It's due for completion and probable release around then, I would think. But it is a great big animated musical. And looking beautiful at this point, I have to say. I can't give you cast names yet because it hasn't been announced by Netflix, but they're wonderful. I think that it's a pretty special group of people. So yeah, and it's been directed by Jared Hess, who made Napoleon Dynamite, Nacho Libre, Masterminds, a bunch of very cool, funny films. So no, and he's just delightful to work with. We've been having a great time. I'm exec producing that too, so it's been a very, very wonderful experience.
Would you ever be interested in writing the screenplay for one of your books?
Yeah, possibly. It depends. To this point, I've considered a process of stages, and because I've been doing 3 books a year and still have, and I've been doing it for a number of years, and I have 2 years of that left. It's been the amount of work that I'm doing has been too overwhelming to even approach it. But I've been holding back on a couple of projects because yes, ultimately that would be a wonderful thing to do. But yes, in the future, and I have another new series called Cat on the Run that is coming out next year, and that's already being adapted at a studio. I can't say which because they haven't announced yet, but a wonderful screenwriter who I'm a huge fan of has just signed on to do that. Beyond that, though, yes, probably I'll be doing more actively involved once I have more of a window to actually do it.
And final question, how do you like to write? Longhand, computer, laptop, typewriter?
It's a process. So I often the ideas part I'm often walking, and it's very unglamorous and very unromantic. I often just write on my phone, and then When it comes to the actual dialogue, I sit down and write it like a screenplay on my computer, but then I do the section where I draw up hundreds of little rectangles and I figure out how I'm going to tell the story in panels. Then I do the rough drawings. I put the rough drawings on a computer, then I add the text that I've written, and then I alter it. And it's usually I'll just take the parts of the screenplay, and often in the moment we'll think of better lines as I'm working, and then it turns. It's like an organism that grows. Each one is a process of various stages.
It's fascinating to hear the process of how a writer works.
Yeah, I do. It's a wonderful. It's you get to play God a little bit, really, because you create a universe, and I do love that. It's my favorite thing is being able to invent something that is very complete.
Well, I want to congratulate you on your success and thank you for the movie. It was highly entertaining. Cannot wait to see the other movies as well, and definitely going to pick up some of those books.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Aaron.
See you later.
Thanks for watching. If you're new to the channel, or if you're returning and you haven't hit that subscribe button yet, tap it now, plus the notification bell in the right-hand corner so that you make sure you don't miss out on any new celebrity interviews. While you're at it, hit the like button and tell me below in the comments, who's your favorite star? Who would you like to see me interview next? I'd love to hear from you.